What do you want? Oh, you're one of them. You want to report an update on the Horror A4. Alright then, I'll give it to ya.
Whoa! That's right, it's me, Gazbot, and this is the horror production update. Report! Haha! Wrong! Number 19!
Good girl. So I've been thinking about getting a new chair. This one's not that old. You can see it has rub stains here, but that's just because it's cheaply made. It's maybe a year old, maybe two. I don't know, I kind of lost track, but not that old. But the hydraulics kept failing, so I'd have to keep raising myself up every 10 minutes. And then today when I sat in it, I'll show you, it did that. It's completely at a down angle that I can't adjust, so that it feels like I'm falling into my computer. And I was still using it, and when I sat back down, it almost broke. So, I'll be borrowing Q's chair for the next couple days, and at night I will have to use like a folding chair or, I don't know, but new chair, ho!
Hey guys, time. It's Friday morning, it's like 10:30, and I really want to be working on the horror or other things, but I need to get ready. Ape is in 2 weeks, and there's music in the background. Hopefully that won't trigger copyright. I'm going to move further away from my computer. But anyway, I gotta inventory my prints, because I've been having a problem of having like one of my popular prints or pins, things like that. Plus I have some new ones I need to print, so I want to do it all at once because you save money with multiple prints, you save money if I need to get shipping. I'm also not sure if I'm going to do internet thing or a local printer, but I am making myself do this now, at the beginning of the day. I don't know how long it's going to take. I have to dig out boxes, count things up. It could take half the day. And my chair broke the other day, so I can only really draw at my table when Q's not home or not using her computer because I don't really have a chair. I mean, I could pull up a folding chair, but my back starts hurting very quickly. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing print inventory and things like that. I've also picked up two client jobs. One that I had fell through. It was, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the person decided they didn't have the money for it right now. Fair enough. But two others stepped up to take his place. One is a personal commission, and one is a corporate caricature thing, a studio piece. The studio piece has to be done within the next week, so that's probably something I'm going to be working on Monday or Tuesday. The other one I have about a month, but I'm going to be heading to the East Coast end of October, so I definitely have to have it done before then. But I'm not doing any of that right now. Right now, I'm looking for prints and inventorying supply. The glamorous life of an artist. Ha ha, Maddie. Yeah, because that's like Doc Brown. Nope.
Tiny little bird's a hummingbird. Just sitting still. He cheeped at me. I don't usually see him sit like that.
See the little sparkles on his head? Oh, there he goes. He's flitting around, drinking. I see so many hummingbirds out here. It's awesome. Not just in the park, but oh, look at that. In California. It's like, give me more of that, Chihuahua.
So it begins. You can see I'm actually, well, maybe you can't see, but this is the inventory list. I last updated in October of last year, so it's been almost a year, which is terrible, because it doesn't let me know what prints are selling, what prints I need to get. You can see here's a pile of old prints. That's a portfolio with prints. There's buttons. There's piles of buttons. There's displays. There's other things. I got to go through all of this. It's becoming a mess in here. It's becoming a productive mess, and there's Gypsy Danger. Thanks, Gypsy Danger. You're always on my side.
Greetings! It's me, Gazbot. I know this is coming in the middle of the video. I haven't really done the recap or the preamble or all the, sort of the nice video parts. I've just got a few random little clips. Today is Monday. It's in the morning. It's borderline chilly, which I love, and I've got a nice second cup of coffee. Decaf this time, fellows and fellowettes, ladies, whatever. Oh, yeah. Even decaf feels nice when it's chilly in the air. Okay, I'm getting crazy. I haven't done an amazing job documenting this period, and I know I'm getting close to, I'm going to turn here, I know I'm getting close to the end of, the 2 weeks or whatever where I'm going to need to make a video. I haven't even really kept track. I know it's been more than a week. And I've been working on the horror. But I've been doing a lot of stuff for the preview book still, and I did some inking on the next page, but I have the preview book done, except I need to do the text of, where you can find my stuff and what I'm all about, and then get them printed. I've also completed a total of 3 new prints for the show Ape, which is this weekend, which is October 4th, I think, for those watching it later or whatever. And I picked up some new client work. I've got 3 new client jobs. One is a corporate caricature gig.
not a gig where I go out, but I have to do it here. One is a commission, which is pretty cool, and some of you have seen me put up the rough where I was looking for opinions on it, and the other is, I have to do, it's not a new job, but I have to do the next Kid Switch page. I've received that check. So those are 3 things that I have to complete before the end of October, by like the 20-something, because I'm going on the East Coast for a few weeks. So this weekend I have Ape, and then a few weeks later I'm going to the East Coast for 2 weeks. Now during those 2 weeks, that'll be also during Inktober, which I'm still not 100% sure if I'm going to do, but if I do decide to do it, and Inktober, for those that don't know, is essentially draw something once a day in ink. Some sites have like, here's what you have to do, some are Halloween themed, but the basic, I forget the name of the guy who started it, but I'll put a link below, and he was just like, hey, I do a lot of digital or whatever, so let's do ink, dip pen or marker or whatever your ink is, but traditional on paper I think is the main idea. Now some people, vary it for their own needs or whatever. I did it last year. I'll put a link to my gallery below. And it was fun and good and productive, and when I could, I incorporated my workload and workday into it, so if I had to do something, I would do it in ink, and that would count as my ink, Inktober as well. But I'm getting sidetracked. So today I'm going to work on one of my client work. It is a contract, I suppose. But then I'm also going to get some horror done, and I need to get my print stuff ready for 8. So I keep putting in work on the horror. I've been doing at least a half hour a day average, probably more than that. But it's not been super horror heavy as it has been. There's someone outside. As it has been the last couple periods, weeks, whatever. Oh, I shouldn't do that. That's going to make everyone sick. Hi. I will not do that anymore. But my point is, even when I'm not working on it in like super mode, I'm still working on it more than I was even during the 100 days on average, which makes me happy. I've definitely gotten the mode of like, what's going on? I got nothing to do, work on the horror, So I'm gonna go do some client work, Then I'm gonna probably do the text for the preview book, and then if I have time today, I'm gonna go and get the prints made, and that's where I'm at today. So more to come. Okay, same day, Monday. It's like 5:30. I did some roughs and got them approved for the corporate caricature job, and I did all the work on the horror preview book, but I want to get proof checked by Q as far as grammar and punctuation before I get it printed, which could be a problem because I'm going to UPS to get some prints done right now. It also took me a while to find. I had to find all the old files because some of them are reprints from a while ago. And then I had to make different formats because depending on what printer you go to, sometimes they want RGB or CMYK, or they want JPEGs, or they want PDFs or whatever. So I made 4 versions of each one: an RGB, a CMYK as a JPEG, and a PDF of each one, after finding it in like backup folders and things like that. So that took way longer than I wanted it to. Sorry, I'm loading up my car and getting ready to go out right now. But again, I haven't been doing good at keeping track of what I'm doing, so I figured better just to record myself right now than try to remember later. So I did get some work on the horror done. I got some work on the prints done. Going to go get them printed now, which is kind of bad planning because I need to, well, I was going to make dinner, but I'll pick up dinner. But I had my cool guy sunglasses on my forehead, like Captain White. I'm going to get in my car. This is probably a really jittery, terrible video. I apologize. The place I've been going for prints is UPS because they're the cheapest, but then I'm going to have to get some of them cut because they only do 11 by 17 or 8.5 by 11, and I have some 8 by 8 and some 9 by 12 prints I need to make, which previously I would get photographic prints made for my print from home, but I'm trying to like phase that sort of paper out. The Gisile are too expensive. The photographic prints are a little bit too weak, so I'm trying to go for a middle ground of like sort of a cardstock index paper, almost like, it's like a weaker version of Bristol. They seem to use at print shops a lot. But the best place I found for quality and price is UPS. But their cutting is garbage. It's like an old-fashioned, like you'd have at a elementary school. So I need to, after I get the prints, take it to FedEx or somewhere that has like a good printer where the weight comes down and like that. But you got to pay for those cuts. So I think even with the cuts, I still end up coming out okay cost-wise versus getting it somewhere else done or getting it online. And the place I normally go to doesn't do this sort of paper, which is weird to me. It's just regular paper. But the point is I'm going to have to go back to a different print shop later, and that's when I'll get the Horror A4 copies done, because we're just going to get photocopies folded in half, and I'm probably going to do a self-serve on that anyway. And UPS does not, well, it has self-serve, but not really. So anyway, that's where I'm going now, and that is most of what I did. That's all of what I did today. If I have time/motivation later, I'll do some actual work inking on the horror pages later tonight, but I don't know. One thing I will say, FedEx/Kinko's might not be the greatest quality when it comes to color prints. They might be a little overpriced in general. But see that open sign? Yeah, it's 10:45. I'm getting stuff done. That is their strength. Open till 11. Some are open all night. Welcome, friends. It is Wednesday morning, around 10:30. I just finished breakfast. I'm getting ready to start my work day. The last we spoke was Monday evening. I had finished working on some prints, getting prints done rather, and I was saying maybe I'll work on the horror that evening. I did not. I did, however, go back out. I went to Kinko's/FedEx, got the cuts made I needed on the prints. I had some like 9x12 and 8x8 prints that I printed at 11x17 at UPS because the quality and cost is best there. Got the cuts made. Even with the cuts, the price still came out to be cheaper than doing it online, at least the places I know of. I may have found my new cheapest solution now. Unfortunately, it involves driving to 2 different stores and spending some time, but if I was doing 1 or 2 prints, it wouldn't be worth it, but when I was doing 75 prints, makes it worth it. The other thing, I finally had gotten together my preview book for the horror to give out at APE, and I had Q proofread it for me, and then I had to make some changes, spelling and punctuation, that sort of thing. But I assembled it and brought it, and also got 100 copies of that made, which I need to fold, but they're printed. I did make an error with some of the prints I got done from UPS. Luckily, it was the 11x17 prints, so that I can get them redone and not have to have them cut again. But the error I made, so you could avoid it, is it's a self-serve thing there where I put the USB in the computer, and I printed them out, and I looked at it real quick, and it looked fine, and it is fine, except I created the artwork at 11x17 exactly, and they don't have full bleed. Most retail places don't have full bleed. Meaning that the art goes to the edge. If you want that, usually you have to get it printed on a larger sheet of paper and cut out, like I did with the 9x12s, for example. But the 11x17 is being printed on 11x17 paper, which is nice, so you don't have to worry about it being cut. But it means it has a small border, like 1/4 of an inch of white, which doesn't really bother me that much. No one's ever complained about it. But to not lose any of the artwork, you have to check the box, the fit to size or verbiage to that effect. Did not do that. So what that means is on the 3 images I did that were 11x17, a little bit of artwork is lost. Now that's not the end of the world, and if the show was tomorrow and I was stuck and these are the only prints I had, I could sell them and probably nobody would ever know the difference. But I know the difference, so it bothers me. And more to the point, I have already sold many of these images, and I have some left, so I'm going to have 2 different versions of the same artwork in the same print. Now, I've had this happen before with paper stock and sizing and things like that, and I'm not a big fan of it. In a perfect world, every print I ever did would be identical to previous print runs, but I changed printers and things like that, and things happen. However, this is a error I could correct. So, in all likelihood, well, if I have time, because today's Wednesday, the show starts Friday, and I'm going to have to go early and set up Friday because apparently I have a huge booth, which I didn't realize. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but much larger than I normally have with like a backdrop, and I've never set that up, so I'm going to go early Friday and just try to get it all set up then. So if I have time, my plan is to go back and redo these prints, which is about 30. Luckily, the place I go is cheap enough that it won't destroy my wallet, but it's still a bummer. So that was that day, and then yesterday was Tuesday, and most of what I did was the client caricature job, which I did finish. I have to get final approval, but otherwise it's done. Also, related to that, that same client, I had done some caricature jobs previous that I misbilled for. Now, luckily, I've worked with this company before, and this is like the 5th or 6th job I've done with them. We have a good relationship. But basically, they owed me $250. I billed them for $150, which was a mistake. And they sent the check, and it was $150, and I went, that doesn't seem like enough. And I went back and looked at my paperwork, and that's the other thing, is always keep your emails or whatever, records, so you could look up stuff like this. And basically I had said, oh, it's 120 plus 120 plus a $10 revision, that equals 150. So in my invoice, I listed the correct things, but didn't do the math correctly. And I contacted them rather sheepishly and like, this is a little embarrassing, but I accidentally, I got the wrong amount in the check. I acknowledge that this is totally my fault. Is it okay if I'm doing another job for you, can I just add it onto that invoice? Is there a better way to handle it? Sorry for the inconvenience. And it's a little bit unprofessional, but I'd rather get my $100. And like I said, I have a good working relationship with them already. And basically they said, yeah, just tack it on the next one, no problem. So, cool. But I finished that. Again, waiting for approval. I also did the roughs for the next 2 pages of Kid Switch, which ended up being difficult and taking a while just to get the layouts. And layouts is usually my favorite part. And this wasn't any different, but it was just difficult because there was a lot going on in these 2 pages. And I have sort of, it's the way I'm getting Kid Switch is like one big script. Like, here's issue 1. No page breakdowns, no panel breakdowns, which 90% of the time is a good thing because it gives me a lot of freedom as an artist to figure out which moments are bigger and smaller and fit it. But there was a certain thing where I needed to have something happen at a certain point, and I was trying to fit in some suggested panels from the writer, and luckily, again, he's flexible, so I said, what if we put that on the next page? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. But even still, these were just very crammed pages with a lot of dialogue and a lot of action. I think I got it figured out, but that took me longer than usual. That was most of my workday yesterday. I also did a warm-up sketch, which I don't normally do. I messed around with it a little bit last year and kind of forgot about it. And it had the exact opposite effect, because I did a quick warm-up sketch of one of the Ultra Heroes. It's nothing even worth showing, but you know, I spent 20 minutes on it, whatever, and I was kind of getting into it. I'm like, okay, let me get to work. And then I started working on my corporate caricature, a couple guys standing there, you know, and I'm like, oh, this seems worse. Like, it had the exact reverse effect of me just doodling something for fun without much pressure, and then going into, okay, now let me draw, like, a super, has to be precise thing, because I'm referencing, you know, a specific image and these people, and I gotta get it done by Thursday, and it's kind of not super dynamic, and, it, you know, it just had the reverse effect, where it seemed that much worse to be working on client work. But anyway, where we're at, I had 3 client jobs. 1 is effectively done. 1 I have the roughs done on, and the other one I had was a commission, which I also have the roughs done and approved. So I'm kind of down to 2 with the roughs figured out. So today I'm going to sit down now. What am I going to start with? I don't know. Not the horror, because the horror is sort of my reward. I plan on working on the horror today later on. I might start working on some Kid Switch first. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Wednesday morning. It's Thursday morning, afternoon. Hi, Aaron. And I don't know why, but I was having, well, I have some ideas why, but I was having a really hard time motivating myself to get going today. Kind of, you know, check my email and farted around the house, and it's like, you know, going on 12:30, and I haven't really done anything. I think I'm trying to work on the horror today, too. And I think just kind of getting off track with working on prints for the show and getting stuck with client work and things like that kind of got me off track a little bit. But I sat down and I'm like, okay, well, let me put it in an hour and see how I feel. I kind of forced the hour, and then if I'm not feeling it, maybe do some client work or other stuff. Sorry, my cat is catting. And I went to open my file, and for some reason I thought I was on page 12, like halfway through page 12, which puts me almost exactly halfway through the grays for the issue, which should be about 24 pages. But I realized, no, I'm about halfway through page 13. And it's such a dumb little thing, but I'm like, oh, I'm like a page further ahead than I thought. I passed the halfway point. And so that perked up my percolator. I'm going to go do some digital inks. Beauty! That is a halfway done page 13. And once again, Aaron. Working on the first panel, and I did this sign up here, which actually I'll scroll up so you can see better. No, I won't. There we go. So I kind of did this sign. That was most of what I did. And I wanted to check the grayscale I'd put on the building here to match with the sign, and I couldn't find the layer to turn it on. I had some grayscale here and here, and I'm like, oh, did I accidentally erase those layers? I did, but I don't think I did it today, because I looked at like the last 4 versions of the file, and all the grayscale in, like, the foreground I have, but in the background, and actually here, this is what let me know for sure, is I had put extra shadows on here over the texture and, like, erased that out so it looked white and things, and I specifically remember doing that, and what I suspect I did was at some point, I went down here and cleaned up the edges, maybe, of the grays on the other panels, and since they were all in the same layer, I accidentally erased those grays. I spent about 15 minutes trying to find those files, and then I realized I probably could have just redone the grays in 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to take a break to feed the cats, and I'm going to come back and redo those grays. The little thing, I finished doing the grays that had been lost, so again, no big deal. Boots is in this panel. She is tiny. See if I zoom out. That's the first panel of the page, and as you can see, it's even bigger than the page will be. So she is super, super tiny. But what I did was I kind of cut out a rough white outline around her, and who's he? And it's not realistic at all, and it's more graphic than my normal style. But hopefully that'll help. Cat butt. Hopefully that'll help pop her out. I don't know, just a little technique I don't normally do that I figured I would share. Bye. Back outside, the walking begins. So yesterday was a weird day. I went to the mall, got a new iPhone. This is the iPhone 6S, I think. And we got on that new plan where I didn't have to buy it outright. You kind of pay for it. Hey, it's me, guys. It's Thursday night, and I'm putting together this video, and there was a lot of wind blowing that made it completely difficult to hear what I was saying unless I turned it up so loud that it would be blasting your ears out. But basically, what you're missing here is me saying about how I got this new plan for the phone, got home, and my car was stolen. It took me a while to realize it was stolen, but it has in fact been stolen. Now back to your Reddit goods goals. Me! Guess it's stolen. I filed all the reports and paperwork. That sucks. And also I had all my caricature art supplies in the back, a book of CDs, which, you know, in this day of digital whatever isn't that big a deal. It's kind of unbelievable to me though, because I live in the nicest neighborhood I've ever lived in. We have a gate on our apartment complex, which doesn't do much, but it's, you know, it's a gate, and there's a security guard who also apparently doesn't do much, but it's a security guard. And it's by far the safest, nicest place I've ever lived in my life. I mean, I lived in those places where you convince yourself those aren't gunshots you're hearing, you know, and you see cars being broken into all the time. Never had a car broken into, never had a car stolen, never had any problems. Now here I am in this nice place. Had a car for 2 months, and it's one of the worst cars where I live. It was a good car, I liked it. It was a 2000 Honda, but it had 118,000 miles on it. It had some dings and stuff. It wasn't worth a lot, didn't have anything expensive sitting in it. So it's bizarre that, and I didn't have a car for 5 years before that. So it's just kind of unbelievable. The good news is we got like deluxe insurance on it, which I was like, why? It's like a $4,000 car, but I am eligible for a free rental car for the next 2 weeks, which, you know, I don't normally need, except that I have Ape this weekend, so I absolutely need it this weekend. So that works out. And if they can't recover it in 14 days, then I'm entitled to some sort of monetary compensation. So while it sucks, and it's a huge pain in the ass, and it's bizarrely unbelievable, I don't think I'm gonna take that big of a financial hit over it, so that's good. I went back and worked some more on that page like I just showed you, finished up panel 1, started panel 2, got about halfway through, and decided I wanted to go for a walk. I've been having a hard time focusing today, but yeah, so that's where we're at. New phone, ahoy. I can't tell, I mean, it definitely looks amazingly clear to me, but I don't know if that's going to translate to what you guys end up seeing. Well, here I am back in my favorite little area where there's the shade. Yeah, this is kind of a disjointed video, I realize. I haven't been putting a lot of planning into it. I know I've probably said this before. I've also not really been keeping track of hours I put in the horror, which I've been getting less and less about that because it's like, well, I'm putting in more than a half hour a day on average. I've been putting in a lot. And I've sort of, I think, moved past that, at least for what I'm doing right now. It's less about making that time and more about, well, it always for me has been more about the motivation and the drive and stuff, and I had more client work and other things going on, and to find time to make that time was one thing, but then there were plenty of days when I had time and I didn't do it. And like today I've been kind of bummy and unmotivated to do much of anything, and yet I still did, I don't know, an hour and a half on the horror earlier, and I'm going to do more when I get back. And it's like, that's more than I ever did before, you know what I mean? So it is one of those things where like, I'm kind of having a bummy down day, which I'm sharing, not that I'm depressed or anything. And the weird thing is, it isn't even about the car. Like, the car thing is probably gonna be okay. It's a little annoying and a little upsetting, but it's not really what's getting me down. And the kind of nothing is getting me down. I think I'm just sort of tired for no reason and just feeling lazy. And I still have days like that, even though I've come as far as I have in terms of being making progress and stuff. However, it is a sliding scale where in previous time, a bummer day would be I'd blow off client work, I'd do no drawing whatsoever, I'd sleep all day, you know, I'd play some video games, and then I'd go to the comic store. So today my lazy day is, oh, I didn't realize the camera was right there. So today my lazy day is I sent some client emails, I worked on my comic for like an hour and a half, I'm going for a walk, and you know, the day's not over, so I don't know what else I'm gonna do today. Which again, it is a lazy day, but I've gotten things done that I would not have previously. That's all. It's just sort of a, hey, here's a, even though I'm further down the road of success and further down the road of self-motivation than I had been in previous days, and previous months, weeks, whatever, I still can get bummed out for kind of no reason, just like anybody. And I mean, Yeah, but even within that, I can see the progress I've made because on my bummy lazy day, I'm still doing better than I have in the past. So I did want to have kind of like a thesis to tie this all together or something like that, but APE is this weekend, the Alternative Press Expo, which I'm exhibiting at, and I'm going to spend tomorrow setting up and everything, and I feel like I already have so much time and stuff going into this video that I'm better off wrapping this chapter and then starting the next one with APE. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll probably do a little end cap after this, but otherwise that's the end of the week. Well, this is a weird angle. This has been a very disjointed video. I probably left a bunch of stuff out, but I could sum it up with saying the last 2 weeks-ish have been spent picking up a few new client jobs, trying to get through them. One's down, two are in progress. Still working on the horror, slowed down quite a bit on the inks of the pages because I was dealing with making the preview book. I made 3 new prints for APE. I've also been getting ready for APE. I've been working, I haven't been lazy. I've been working probably like 20% on client work, like 50% on prints and APE and the preview book for the Horror A4, and then whatever left 30% on actually working on the book, which still equaled at least a half hour or more on average per day. Today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday. I think I misspoke before and said APE starts on Friday. It actually starts on Saturday, but I can start setting up tomorrow, and I anticipate that taking a good chunk of my day. I tentatively am doing Inktober. I did a little sketch of Nightcrawler in ink while I was working on this video, so maybe I will just... I guess I'm doing it. I guess I'm doing it, but I'm not going to do it as deluxe as I did last year. Look, here's Nightcrawler. Bam! And back. And the prints I did a Baltan Sajian 8x8, which is a Ultra Kaiju from Ultraman. He's like the main notable one, kind of like the Dalek to Doctor Who or something like that. And I did him as an 8x8, which is a series I have. I'll throw that up. Here. Okay, the other print I did was Rocksteady from Ninja Turtles, which is something that's been requested forever because I did a Bebop years ago, and so I was like, I guess I should finally do a Rocksteady years later. But I had to sort of match the Bebop because a lot of people wanted the set. Here's a quick slideshow of the process. Not super detailed, but I'll talk over it. So first I did a bunch of terrible sketches, as you can see here. Trying to figure out a good way to represent the character, looking at reference of toys in the original show until I got something I was kind of happy with. Then I brought in the original Bebop so that I could match up the scale and give it the same background. The gun was pretty much the hardest part, not just to get the gun, but to get it look kind of accurate in perspective and fit in the hand. There you can see me adjusting the leg. Here again, I brought back the original Bebop with the flats because I wanted to use a lot of the same base colors so that the color schemes would seem, somewhat in sync with each other. This was the finished inks, which I was generally pretty happy with, but if you look at the thumb on the left hand on top of the gun, it's very wrong. And I finished it and I redrew it a few times and I kind of knew it was off, but I thought I had kind of fixed it to where it wasn't that noticeable and it was more or less okay because, it was a thing where I redrew it so many times I was just like, I gotta be done. And I put it up everywhere. The color version got a lot of compliments, got a lot of likes. And then one guy on an art board, I'm not even sure if he's an artist, private messaged me and he's like, that looks really good. I think it's awesome, but that thumb, I could be wrong, but it looks broken. And I was like, ah! Because he was right. And he was very polite about it. He was classy because he did it privately. He complimented the rest of the piece. And that made me think, well, now I have to fix it. Went back, worked on it for like an hour. He did say, frustratingly, like, oh, it'll probably be an easy fix in Photoshop. It wasn't. It took me a half hour to an hour, not just to fix the thumb, but then I have a million different layers of shading and things like that. But I did fix it, and I do thank that person, and I do think it's a better piece for it, even if nobody noticed it but me and that guy. Oh, yeah. And the last print I did, I had actually done an ink drawing of another Ultra Kaiju, Ultraman villain called Gudon in ink at some show semi-recently, and I kind of forgot about it, but I scanned it, colored it up. I actually did a coloring Picarto, which is a live streaming, which I found to be much better for a screen recording too, even if you're not doing it live. And I made a recording of that, which I'll put a link to below. You can check out the coloring process of Gudon there. I also did another test Picarto, where I was just doing some inks on boots on one of the panels. I'll put the link to that below as well. And other than that, I think we're good here. Oh, the other thing is, I talked about how I misbilled somebody earlier. somebody mispaid me, a different client, caricature live, a on-site caricature job. It's this small company that they've had me come out like 3 or 4 times now, and each time it's people get promotions. They're very big on promoting from within, and we want to make our people happy and like promote a good work environment, like very proactive in that way. So part of that is I come in, I'm like, hey, you got promoted, let me draw you a caricature, you go on the wall of happy fame, whatever, and that's their thing. And there was like they changed the way they do things, and previously I'd been paid half up front and then half when I got there, and this time, can we pay you all at once? And then they didn't have it, and blah blah blah, but they eventually sent me the check and it was fine. But then like 2 weeks later I got another check, and I was like, wait, does he only give me half, or did I couldn't remember why they were sending me money, and I looked and I did a bunch of research, and I'm like, I think they just double paid me. And I'm like, oh, and I was tempted. I'm like, ooh, and it was like, $400 or $500 that I was like, wow, that'd be a nice like bonus check, but I wouldn't feel right about it regardless, even if it was, a big company. But this is a small company, and they're good to their employees, and they're exactly the kind of doing the sorts of things companies should be doing. And so I'm like, if I was ever going to take advantage of a company, this would not be the company I'd want to take advantage of. So I was like, hey guys, you sent me this check. Sorry, I just realized there was this pen here. I'll just move. I'll put it right back. Look, now you got to deal with the pen. But I called him back and I said, hey guys, I don't know why you sent me this check. I don't think it was on purpose. Do you know something I don't? Are you giving me an advance payment, or was this a double pay? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, let me check into it. And they're like, yeah, could you please destroy it? And I did, and whatever. So I did the right thing. But this was previous to me not getting the $100 I was owed from the other company, and they gave me a hard time about it. So, what goes around comes around ish. I don't know. That's I gotta go and go to sleep, and then get ready to do ape stuff tomorrow. First, I have to pick up a rental car that my insurance is paying for. Life is weird. Life is weird right now.